everybody. It's your man James, Mr. Gwen Treasures, back again with some more video action for you. Today's another trip down Remembrance Lane as we check in on why it's great. And for those of you new to the program, what I do here is I take an issue out of my back issue collection from the past. I tell you about why it's so awesome and why you yourself should want to check it out. And today's one, I haven't really dipped into any of the mutant stuff in Marvel, but today that's what we're going to do. Very first one I'm doing on this, and it's going to be X Factor #2 from 1985. So it should be a lot of fun there. And I want to thank you all for joining me today. And I want to say before we get into any more of it, I want to, if you like what you hear here, drop a like down there to help out the algorithms of the place. If you like what you heard, and also be sure to drop me any comments you have on the issue or anything else. Let me know what your thoughts are, because I always like hearing from the folks out there. And you'll be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so you don't miss any of the content that I'm putting out around here. And if you have subscribed, share out some links and let's bring in some new people, because I always want to get those subscriber numbers up as much as I can. So I thank you all for your support today, and I hope you're having a good one. And let's get right on into it. Okay, so today's book is X Factor #2 from 1985. Should be a good one. So first thing we'll do is we'll get me off here, because you don't need to see my mug. And then we'll bring in our book. And there we are, X Factor #2 from 1985. Great Mike Zeck cover. As you can see here, great action-oriented book. And exactly what you expect from the Marvel Mutant Brigade at this period of time. And we got the menace of the mutant menace of Tower. So a whole new villain here that's introduced to us. And again, this image here, just with this, it's great action, lots of great composition. This is why Mike Zeck was probably the preeminent cover artist at Marvel back in the 80s. I mean, the images here, it screams comics, it screams superheroes. This is why he was probably the man they had doing these covers like this. And I just love the layout, with sort of like, you got the four heroes all like different, almost like a different corners, as it were. Iceman in the upper right, lower right is a Cyclops, lower left is Jean Grey, upper left is the Angel. So I mean, I like the whole symmetry of the way they have him surrounded, and even though he's surrounded, it looks like he's the one that's still in charge. I like that. So it really kind of paints the menace as something serious to really get us hyped up for what we're about to see. So let's head on in underneath that cover and just check it out. And as you see here, it's by Bob Layton and Jackson Geist. Again, Geist, one of my all-time top 10 favorite artists. And again, an image like this is just a reason why, just this shot here of this look at the sharpness of his line work and the detail in the jet. Just, excellent stuff. All these great little lines from, like the re-entry, just great stuff. And this is what Geist is known for, that high level of sharp detail. Like I said, I've said it many times. His line work is so sharp you could almost shave with it. And this image right here just perfectly extols why I feel that way, and why he is probably one of the best artists of not just 80s comics, but of any decade. But this is all a scene of the past. See, because this is the scene from X-Men 100. Back in the day when Jean Grey was still alive, and you can see she's reliving the trauma of the events that led her to be put in sort of like hibernation while the Phoenix took over her life. And she goes right here, its energies envelop her. She hasn't the strength or will to resist. And again, Jean Grey sees the entity take her form, and Jean witnesses the birth of the Phoenix. And so like this is all like being replayed, and it's all a dream. And she wakes up screaming, awareness returns. She feels dampened sheets against her sweat-covered skin. A chill runs down her spine. Oh, please let it be over. I mean, just so you can see she's still haunted by what happened. She's just recently come back into the living world after people thinking she was dead because the Phoenix Force had died, and they thought that was her. And she then found out now that no, she's not. She was actually put in like a stasis by the entity, and it took her place. And now here she is back in the world of the living, and she's being haunted by what happened. And again, just these great scenes here. This nice close up here by Geist. I love it. He always draws such beautiful women too. Aside from his strong line work, his sharpness in that, he He always has a great thing for the feminine figure. And she you can see here she's still tormented by it. The Phoenix took everything from me, my hopes, my dreams, my memories. In a sense, it became me. And while it lived my life, I lay in a state of living death. Sometimes I feel such anger, I think I'll go crazy. So she's like, again, tormented by all of this, but she also sees that, and what's worse is that the world has changed so much since then. It's not the same world I knew before. So it's almost like a Captain America thing. She feels like she's a person out of time because time has gone by and moving on without her. And while she is the same person she was back when that event happened, the world is not the same, and she feels out of place. And she says, she's talking about how, like, especially with her connection with the Cyclops, Scott Summers. He goes, and Scott, I can only imagine what he's going through. I know that the discovery that I wasn't the Phoenix, that I wasn't the woman he loved all that time, devastated him. He thought he'd seen me die. He mourned me. That's enough pain for one man to live through. And then to find out his grieving was for nothing. But there's more. There's something about Scott no one is telling me. He's always been so withdrawn, but I always thought he'd turn to me. It's all happening too fast. I can't get a grip on things. So you see that the whole thing of, the fact the world is going on, he has changed, the world has changed, and she feels she's the same, and nothing makes any sense now. It's like just that, like a gap of time that has been lost to her, and she knows there's things that are going on. And right here, she tells how there's a secret about Scott, something going on with him that we all know is that he is married, and she doesn't know this yet. This is a secret being kept from her, and she can tell, but she doesn't know why. And so he continues on, about their current situation where they've decided to bring on, because Xavier is no longer there and it's now Magneto who's running the school. She feels that's wrong, so they started their own little thing of pretending to be mutant hunters so they can capture mutants and then help train them so that you can use their powers, properly, so that they don't become a danger to society and fuel the more of the mutant hatred that was going on during this period. And she goes, our cover of operating publicly as a mutant bounty hunters while we are actually searching for mutants to protect and train was largely successful. And as X Factor, we are continuing the professor's dream. Cyclops, Angel, the Beast, Iceman, and I are united once more. Everything is going according to plan. So why do I feel so alone? Why does it seem there's no place for a Marvel girl in this brave new world? So you see, so again, she's just feeling completely out of place. She feels she doesn't have a real connection to the world she's inhabiting anymore. And while all this is going on, Scott and Warren, the Angel, are having a discussion about things, because he's torn up over, he's left his wife to join this team, but neither one of them know about the other. Jean doesn't know about Madeline. Madeline doesn't know Jean is alive, and he's torn up with what to do. He doesn't know what he should do. He doesn't know how to handle this. And so he's talking with Warren about it. And, he tells me, I just think it's time you spoke to Madeline, Scott. You have a wife and a child waiting for you in Alaska. And then he's kind of blows up on him, and he tells him, how can I explain anything to Madeline or Jean? I'm still not sure what's going on myself. Jean was the first woman I ever loved. She gave my life meaning. And Madeline, forget it. A playboy like you wouldn't understand. So you see, he's just lashing out. He's so torn up with his own emotions about how he feels about these two women, the one that he's married to and the one that he had loved, for years, coming back into his life. And it's just tearing him up inside. And so he's just lashing out at anybody and anything, which, Warren seems to understand. He goes, I think that's my cue. Just remember, I only wanted to help, And so he heads out. He meets up with Cameron Hodge, talking about the how things are going with the X Factor ruse, and how they're getting a lot of crank calls and things of that nature. And while all that's going on at the HQ, Iceman and Beast are out walking around searching for an apartment, because they don't want to live on the compound with the rest of them, because as Beast says here, it's too much like living in the Avengers mansion, no private life at all, And so they're out there walking around, and a little thing happens. Iceman just reflexively uses power, and then Beast tells him, don't ever use your power while in your civvies. You'll endanger our entire X Factor operation if you're discovered. You should know better than that. So it's like they're still all trying to get used to this whole new way of doing things. They used to be the X-Men. This is the original X-Men team, and they're back together again for the first time in many years. And they were used to this operating in the open. when they had their powers, but now they're trying to do it all secretly. And so like little things like this really would kind of get in the way of that. So while they're going around, the Beast decides he's going to look in on an old friend of his named Vera. And when they go to meet, we see it's not just Vera that sees them, but it's also a strange shadowy figure, which will come into focus very soon. And then of course he sees Vera, and she's completely different to what he remembers. She's changed so much. Again, just you seeing the themes here. Gene feels the world has changed so much. Now he's looking and seeing her has changed so much. There's a lot of things of themes of how things have changed so much since the days of the original X-Men. Since those days of yore. And I like that. That was always one of the themes I liked in these early issues of the book, was how they always played up on how the team felt they were. They feel that they're the same as they ever were, but yet the world around them is completely different. And I always liked that. I always liked that touch. And so, they come in, and you can see, Beast is all taken aback by all these changes. And meanwhile, Bobby, Iceman, is having fun. He's, oh boy, this is going to be great. And so like they're in there trying to figure out what happened. He goes, brainwashed by aliens? Nope. Oh, drug overdose? Doubtful. Vietnam flashback? Unlikely. And so she comes in and tells him what's happened to her. And she goes, he goes, I said to myself, Vera, it's about time you found out what life is all about. So I enrolled in some classes at Columbia University in popular culture. And wow, I have to tell you, Hanky Poo, Elvis Costello changed my life. Have you ever listened to his lyrics? Again, another little cultural reference at the time. Elvis Costello, very progressive music artist. So, and he's just taken it back. So then we cut back to the headquarters here, and then we see what the whole mission of X Factor is about now. And this is Gene and Scott are with Rusty Collins, who they had quote unquote captured last issue, trying to help him to learn how to use his pyrokinetic powers. Gene is taking the lead, trying to help him to learn to master them and control them. And at first it seems to go well, but then, now she wants to try something a little more tricky. And when he tries to go for that, it doesn't work out so well. And now he feels, he goes, don't worry, Rusty, no harm was done. Let's try the sequence again. I'm never going to get it right. Who am I kidding? They're going to find me and put me away forever this time, because he's so fearful that his inability to control these powers is going to have him, end up locked away somewhere. And so he runs off, and Cyclops tells her to lighten up on him, and he says, he also has a tremendous crush on you. He doesn't want to disappoint you. Be aware of that and take it slow. Remember, the professor always stressed patience. With enough time, I'm sure Rusty will work out, but you've got to give him that time. And then she decides, well, okay, well, maybe we should have a talk then. And you just look at, I like this shot right here, the panel right here, her look of concern, and then him just blithely walking away, turning away. I'm sorry, Gene, I can't, not now. If you'll excuse me, I have to check on Rusty. And so he still leaves it hanging in the air, the unspoken thing that's going on between them, the secret that she knows there's something wrong, but yet she doesn't know what it is, and he's not telling. So it's like all this romantic soap opera stuff going on in the book. Meanwhile, our mysterious stranger, as we find out, is the guy we saw on our cover here. It's Tower. And, while the Beast is trying to get used to Vera's new style and new way of doing things, and Iceman is enjoying a little laugh at his expense, that's when Tower decides to strike. And again, just a great half splash shot right here down at the bottom. I just love that shot. Him just like ripping the building apart basically as he's coming in, and just total shock on their face. So then the battle begins, and he learns that he doesn't care about the other two. He goes, don't worry about them, blue buns. You're the only one I'm after. So now he knows that he's the one that's the target. So Bobby decides, I got to get you out of here so I can help him. He takes them out before they can get a chance. Then, then the Beast says the kid gloves are off, and he goes to town. But the battle is quick. It's not even much of a contest. He's dealing with a guy who's got super strength and is much larger than him, and so they battle for a moment. He goes, it's strictly business for a ball. There's a lot of money riding on delivering you alive. And he goes, if you need to take me alive, that changes things a bit. And then alive, yes, but I never said in one piece, did I? And it's over, just like that. A few quick hits, and it's over because, again, he's dealing with a foe that he doesn't know what his powers are. He doesn't know what his reasoning is. So he's kind of in the dark. And even with all his abilities, it's not enough. So then Tower takes him away, leaving Iceman and Vera. And we go and we see here's the person who hired Tower to do the job. And, he doesn't. He goes, "Pray you've done McCoy no permanent damage, Tower. If all goes well, I promise you'll get what's coming to you. His payment." But we can see from this guy, I'm not exactly sure we can trust him now. Who is this guy? Well, we're going to find out in a moment here. But before we figure that out, we cut back to the headquarters, and we see Scott, tormented over whether to call Madeline or not. But he decides finally, I'm going to do it. He goes, Warren was right. If I spend another minute staring at this phone, I'll go crazy. I have to talk to Maddie. I have to explain. But then he finds out, the number has been disconnected and there's no forwarding number. And he goes, now he decides I've lost her and my son, I've thrown away everything and it's all my fault. And he blamed his powers. It's my powers. They're destroying my chance for a normal life. I hate it. And he just lashes out. And it's just when a call to action comes in. So they head over to Vera's. And they, pretend that, Bobby isn't one of them at the time. And they just talk to people trying to figure out what went on. And they learn that, he goes, what he tells them, some guy attacked and, he took Hank, but we don't know where. And then he says, they say, what did people outside say? They go, zip, it's amazing. A 15-foot, bow hunk waltzes through a wall, kicks the bejesus out of a fuzzy blue ape man, walks away with him. And no one in the building saw anything. And he goes, but they all have their petty bigotries about mutants, though. We sure got an earful of that. So you can see, again, they're trying to play up the whole thing of how much they hate the mutants. Because you can see that here in the first panel with people, drag the mutie out of here. We'll take care of them. Hey, I've seen them guys on X-Ray. The mutant, they're hunting a mutant here. So like the bigotry is ever present. So they decide that the next best thing to do is to monitor police reports to see if they hear anything and hope that they can catch a lead before it's too late. Meanwhile, we catch up with the Beast, who's been taken prisoner by this gentleman here, Carl Maddox, a doctor, someone of his past. As you can see here with our little footnote, he was one of the people who was involved in the Beast becoming all blue and hairy when he tried to change a mutation. And he tells him he wants his help with an experiment he's doing. And he tells him, my reasons are twofold. Actually, one is because years ago, you successfully isolated the chemical source of mutation. Your present physical state is a result of that experiment. And the other reason would be revealed to you in time. And so he tells him, there's no way you can expect me to help you. I'm not going to help you. I have I have associates who will, soon come for me and get me out of here. And he goes, I think not. The lab is hidden, and I'm about to eliminate the last clue to your whereabouts. Now, what clue would that be? Well, we see right here, he tells him the only danger of discovery is with that size-changing mercenary Tower. Even though he's been paid off, he might talk if McCoy's friend find him. So it's imperative that he be eliminated. And how does he decide to do that? Well, with X Factor, of course. So it's kind of funny, the whole thing of, if this guy didn't want to double-cross Tower, what's about to happen would never happen. He may have gotten away with his plan, but of course he's bringing in the very people without knowing who are the ones that McCoy just told him is going to be the ones to save him. And so as they're heading on out, the team is talking. They're wondering if the anonymous phone call is worth the gamble, and the fact that it could be a trap, but they decide they got to go through it anyway because it's the only way to have a chance of getting the Beast back. And meanwhile, the Beast is being taunted by Carl Maddox. He throws him some of his research. He says, these are my notes on my experiment. You might want to peruse them in your spare time. And I love this. The little funny way they have him insult him. He goes, why don't you go orally extract embryonic fluid from a hen's egg? Basically telling him to go suck an egg. I love that. It's hilarious. And then we find out the reason why Maddox is doing this is for this. He goes, there you are. I will have need of you shortly, dear boy. This will all be over very soon, my son. This is Artie Maddox, which people, if you've ever read the series later after this, you learn he's He's a mutant who he is mute. He cannot speak, but he can speak with creating pictures with his mind, and that's his mutant ability. And so his father is looking for a way to control mutation so he can make his son no longer be a mutant. That's what this is all about. So the team shows up. They find Tower getting ready to head out. So they decide, we have to take him now. We got to hit him hard. Meanwhile, the Beast looks over the notes, and Maddox uses his son's abilities so he can see what corrections Beast is making to them. And, he goes, "Marvelous, Arthur. Continue protecting the mind scan. McCoy is completing the experiment. Wonderful. I'm almost envious of that fantastic brain of his." He goes, "Enough, my son. We've obtained the means to remove your genetic curse. All we need now is a test subject." So who's going to be the test subject? Well, I think we all kind of know where that's going to go. So then the team breaks in on Tower to get answers. Tower fights back. Meanwhile, Maddox takes a shot at the Beast, and you wonder what's going to happen there. And then again, the battle rages. I love these images. This is a great battle sequence. The way that just you can see. I mean, look at all the detail with all the stuff in the backgrounds and everything. I mean, a lot of modern comics, if they had scenes like this, it'd be like a single color background. But here it's like all this detail, all this gravity fritz, all this stuff as the battle rages. And like I said, I really, this is like what superhero comics are meant to be. But the battle is pitched, but Tower seems to be getting the upper hand. He takes out the Angel, Jean, and Iceman pretty quick, which leaves just Cyclops. And it's just you and me now, and I'm through waltzing around with you, Tower. You've hurt my friends. Now you tell me what you did with the Beast, or I'll take your head off. And he goes, blow out your visor, little man. He goes, exactly my intention, jerk. And bam, he takes him out. But then he gets a little admonishment because, what have you done? We need information from him. How are we going to get that from an unconscious man? And he tells him, and Scott thinks to himself, what's wrong with me? I've never acted like this. Why am I, why am I letting my emotions take me over so much? Meanwhile, the Beast awakens, and Maddox kind of tells him what the story is going to be. He goes, he's been giving him some chemotherapy. He goes, I have my reasons. It's merely the side effect of the chemotherapy. Unfortunate, but necessary for the radiation treatment to be effective. He goes, why are you doing it? He goes, I have my own reasons. Let's just say we're about to make medical history. If you survive, you shall become the first mutant in history to make the regression from Homo superior to be normal human being. So there it is. And so you see, and again, I love that shot of the Beast's face right here. I mean, the pain, the anguish. Again, look at that detail that Geist gets in there. Just so much detail. And then Tower finally wakes up. He decides he's not going to fight anymore. He goes, okay, Bug Eyes, fighting toy clowns wasn't part of the deal. So he tells him where the Beast is. He goes, and he goes, I'm starting to get the picture. I've been set up to take the fall. Well, I'm no dummy. You guys ain't no cops or nothing. But if you want the blue boy, you're going to have to make a deal. So now they got to work with this guy who's looking out for his own best interest. And then, of course, at the very end, but it may be too late because now you can see, Beast is going into cardiac arrest. Maddox is trying to save him, and to be continued. So is the Beast going to survive? What's going to happen with Maddox's son? Will Tower tell him what he knows, or is he going to stonewall them and leave the team out in the dark? What's going to happen between Jean and Scott because of the situation of his marriage? I mean, there's all this stuff going on, all these moving parts. Lots of great stuff in this issue. They get lots of high drama, lots of personal emotional storylines here, going on all at once. And in all of it, you still had tons and tons of action, multiple battles. I mean, this is when comics were great, when you could have all this going on all at once in a single issue. I mean, so meaty, so packed with story. And again, this is just issue number 2, so it's very early in the series. And I really thought Layton had a good handle on the characters. That everyone feels like the way they're supposed to feel. Jean's feeling like an outcast, like she doesn't belong almost because she's been so out of the loop for so long. Scott's torment over his emotions between Jean and Madeline. The Beast being used as a subject for mutation as he already has been in the past. I mean, just all these great things. It's just a wonderful book. I really like the team aspect, and I liked all the soap opera stuff. This is like mutant soap opera right here. Was this is what X Factor was, and I really enjoyed it. Later on, others would take on the work and continue in that vein, but like what Leighton and Geis have laid down here in this issue is just some beautiful stuff. It's just, if you like action, if you like adventure, if you like heartbreak and interpersonal drama, this book has got you covered. Just and again, just the beautiful artistry by Geis with let me see, with scenes like scenes like this, like just a great action sequence, full of detail. And like I said, and he doesn't scrimp on the backgrounds. That's the one thing I've always noticed in all books I've ever read by Jackson Geis is there's always backgrounds in the panels. He doesn't tend to go that route of, let me just put the characters in a blank area with just a color in the background on. No, he goes the extra mile and puts in the detail, and that has always made him, like I said, what has made him one of my favorite artists of all time. Just great shots like this here. I mean, look at all that again, all the detail and all the expressiveness in the characters, the body language, the facial expressions. It all works, and you know, even stuff like this, close up shots, Jean's face, sort of like crumpled up in the bed, just beautiful stuff. X Factor 2, it's a great issue. It was during a time when Marvel was really on fire as a company, and they really put out a lot of great work. And so definitely this is one you should check out. It shouldn't be terribly expensive. A good $10. You can probably get a very high value copy of this book. And again, introducing a new villain, putting the Beast's life on the line. Lots of great drama and action. Under a superb Mike Zeck cover. So I mean, you got Mike Zeck and Jackson Geis on the same issue. To me, there's nothing more 80s at Marvel than that. So definitely want to check out. It's X Factor #2. If you like, if you want to get into the mutant stuff without getting bogged down with all the backstories of all the other characters, like in the main X-Men titles were. The X-Men titles back in the day were like very, very hard to get into because there was so much history there. And here they kind of simplified all that down and brought back the original team and gave you a story you could just sink your teeth into as a new reader. And so definitely check out X Factor #2. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of great artistry and a lot of great drama. A lot of just a lot of what you would expect of a great Marvel book in the 80s. And there you go, X Factor #2, another one in the books here. I hope you guys enjoyed checking that out with me. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I was never a huge big X-Men fan, but I did like X Factor. X Factor is probably my one mutant book that I always really enjoyed. And again, you can see right from the very beginning, it was a great read. So I hope you guys check that out. I hope you guys liked what you saw here. And that'll about do it for this one. So I will be back soon with some more stuff for you. I guess I'm always working on more things. I got some stuff I'm working on right now for you guys, but I got plenty of stuff in the pipeline. And I will be back soon with some more stuff. And so until next time, take care.